Good evening, Sean. My name is Jimmy. 大家晚上好。然后欢迎来到老黄的频道。那么今天呢，我们请到了英联邦协会的主席 Mr. Shaun Wade。英联邦呢，是成立于1959年，卑诗省。然后在过去的近60年的时间里面，举办了很多的中学生的英语方面的比赛，尤其是他的作文比赛，并且呢，还有很多的关于英联邦会议的活动的举行，所以这是一个英联邦的组织。那么今天呢，这英联邦组织的负责人呢是 Shaun Wade 先生。那么 Mr. Shaun Wade 呢，他是具有法学的学士和硕士两个学位。他是我们的英联邦第一路会的总裁和首席执行官，同时他也是一名预备役的陆军军官和很多青年活动的leader。他在社区服务呢有超过30年的一个这样的历史。所以 Mr. Shaun Wade is a dedicated chief executive with an BA first class honors in history and LLB, LLM from UBC, and an Army officer and a youth development leader with over 30 years of voluntary community service experience. So Sean's interest in the Commonwealth began at an early age, and it was particularly motivated by his lifelong interest in stamps and coins, which he has collected since his early childhood. And Sean is currently president and the chief executive officer of the Royal Commonwealth Society Mainland branch, mainland of BC, and also director of programming and special events. He has served on many committees of this society, has been assistant honorary treasurer and a vice president in the past. So, Mr. Shaun Wade, thank you for joining tonight's program. So we'll have a chat about the Platinum Jubilee Medal. So can you tell us a little bit about the Queen's 70th years on the throne, and also this touch upon the significance of the Platinum Jubilee Medal?
你好 Jimmy 我好我是 Sean. Anyways, nice to meet you and welcome to those of your audience. Well, the Queen's Platinum Jubilee obviously recognizes 70 years of Her Majesty on the throne. We've never had one before, so this is making history. This is history in the making. Queen Victoria reigned for about 63, 64 years, so we've never seen this before. We have the Diamond Jubilee, and I've got this is like a Diamond Jubilee plate. So that there are Queen Victoria Silver Diamond Jubilee things, but we've never had a 70th anniversary. So this is history in the making. And we celebrate ourselves by celebrating the Queen, and we celebrate ourselves as a nation and how we've developed. So this is groundbreaking, a way of looking back at ourselves and how we've changed and developed as a people and a nation, and a way of looking at the Queen. The Queen in many ways personifies the nation, the Commonwealth. And so this is a very special occasion. It's a joyous occasion. And it reminds us, I think, how the crown brings us together.
Yeah, and maybe I can help with the interpretation for you. And so 这个今年呢是加拿大的女王伊丽莎白2世的70年的在位。那么这个在过去的维多利亚时代大概有60几年的时间，这是第一次有70年在位的这样的一个君主，所以它对于我们作为一个国家，作为一个民族，作为一个定义的话，然后有很强的象征意义，所以呢，我们要庆祝这样的一个70年的在位。那么由这个70年在位呢，刚才Sean呢是给你看的是女王的钻石喜年的在位的一个纪念的that's a plate, right? It's a memorial kind of a ceremonial kind of, yeah.
Right.
That's Queen Elizabeth II, is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's from 2012. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. 就是2012年的钻石那个年的当时的一个纪念，所以现在到了70年。Okay, so tell us about this one. So what's the flag?
This is the Canadian 60th anniversary of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So they produced one for the 50th. It's a paper flag that was given to school children. This is a tin from the Queen's Silver Jubilee. It had toffee in it. I was a child, and they make another one from that time. So Windsor Castle is on here, Buckingham Palace, the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, who just passed away recently. This is the Royal Coat of Arms on a sort of biscuit tin for the Golden Jubilee.
Is that Golden Jubilee? Okay, that's golden.
2002.
Yeah.
This is 2012, the Platinum Jubilee. It's a flag.
Yeah.
嗯，
那么这些的都是分别在不同年份的。之前呢有银 silver 的这个禧年的这个当时的一些纪念品，然后呢有这个后面也有这个钻石的，有金的。那么金的是50年，银的呢是一个纪念是40年，然后呢钻石是60年，所以现在到了一个白金的这个一个崭新的时代。Yes.
So there are other things. This is a letter from the Governor General for people who received the medal, and we'll go into the medals in a few minutes.
Right.
There are a few other things I brought to show you. You might be interested in seeing. So these are some cufflinks, which are a hallmark from the Queen's Golden Jubilee.
Yeah.
And one of the royal warrant holders. This is the Royal Coat of Arms on cufflinks. It's also my tie from the same people, and my cufflinks as well. And these are the British Post Office made these based on some stamps. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of souvenirs, but it's a time of celebration. Cufflinks is from the Platinum or Silver Diamond Jubilee. So basically, when these things happen, there are these things that happen. This is the actual my Golden Jubilee medal.
Yeah. 这是他当时获得的这个黄金年的这个当时的这个奖章。
This is the Diamond Jubilee medal.
Okay, 这是一个钻石年的奖章。So actually, Sean, we don't have a platinum Jubilee medal yet, don't we?
No, we do not.
Okay, 所以还是没有，我们暂时现在还没有这个奖章，所以我们今天的话题其实就是从奖章开始。So I said we haven't had a platinum Jubilee medal yet, so that's why tonight's actually the theme and topic is about the platinum Jubilee medal.
That's right.
Yeah. So actually there is a petition, and we would like to encourage the audience, right? And if you're Canadian, then you can sign up with this petition, and then to urge the government to consider the Platinum Jubilee medal for all Canadians.
Yes, this government has proven to be very reluctant to create these medals. The last Prime Minister Trudeau created a Silver Jubilee medal, the father of our current Prime Minister, and Prime Minister Chrétien in 2002 was encouraged and decided to create the original medal that I got, and these are two of them that I have being worn. The Golden Jubilee medal, we've issued these medals going back to 1887, the Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria. Canadians have been awarded medals in all of the Queen's Jubilees, monarchs' Jubilees and coronations from the beginning. So we need this tradition to continue.
所以他之前的话有一些是这个特鲁多的老特鲁多总理呢，从这个40年的时候，然后克里田总理呢，在50年的时候，都分别都有这个颁发了这样的奖章。那么这个呢是一个就请愿，这个请愿呢是在加拿大的联邦政府呢是在国会的官方网页上，这不是一个民间就是个民间的活动，但不是一个民间的网站，这是专门的加拿大官方的国会网站上。那么通过请愿的要求，就是说联邦政府考虑，那么在这个纪念君主70年在位的时候呢，有一个白金的这样的一个纪念奖章，用于什么呢？用于这个正好也是在疫情，在这个很多多元文化中间做出很多积极贡献的，那么这些加拿大人呢都可以得到这个认可，特别是他们对于加拿大的所做出的这样积极的这个贡献。所以这是关于这个就是尚未被建立起来，但是有想要把它设置的一个叫白金的这样的一个70年的奖章，女王奖章。All right, so maybe let's go over those slides. Let's have an overview of all those medals we have had in the past. Yeah.
Well, there's some pictures here initially of members of the royal family. In the top left corner is a special stamp commemorating George V, the Queen's grandfather, George and Queen Elizabeth. And it's the usual festival of stamps. It's held every 10 years, I think, in London. And so that just, they're both kind of the stamp collectors. Underneath is the 48-cent 50th anniversary of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II stamp. It was issued by Canada in 2003. Right. Beneath this is the Queen, of course, waving to people from her carriage. Top right is the Queen on the day of her coronation. Bottom right is a picture of the Queen painted by an artist originally from Nigeria, I think. It's in the Commonwealth. Right. On the right side, we have 4 generations of the royal family. We have Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who's passed away. Queen Elizabeth, our Lady Sovereign, the Queen. Behind the Queen Mother is, of course, Prince Charles, Prince Wales, and of course, a younger version of Prince William, who is now himself a father of 3. At the bottom left, there is a picture of the Queen, and a very like the Wilding portrait that we see in many. I have that one up in my room. It's a very early portrait of the Queen, very common. There's a picture of the Queen here as Colonel of the Coldstream Guards after trooping the color with the young Prince Charles. Right. We see the Queen, and I think the other section that's probably cut off by our photos, the Duke of Edinburgh in their picture, a tour of Canada, and of course the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh in Buckingham Palace, a very famous picture. So these are some pictures of our Queen,
right,
and members of her family.
Okay, 所以呢，这个so I'm talking about the top left, right? So that's Queen's grandfather, George V. Yeah. So when that's George V time, so he's still the British monarch. It's not a queen or the king of Canada yet, right? So that's before 1931, I assume.
That's right. Well, he started in 1910. He was until 1930, January 20th, 1936, January 22nd.
Right. Yeah. OK， 然后的话，这是他这个女王的爷爷啊，乔治5世。然后剩下的话，当然大家看到就熟悉的，就是现在的加拿大女王伊丽莎白2世和她的家人。那么包括就是以刚刚过世的爱丁堡公爵，在我们的这个照片的这个右手位。All right, so we move on to let's maybe start from the Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee Medal.
That's right. She had been queen for 50 years, which was at that time a record, and a decision was made to create a medal. And originally, these went to the police officers who lined the coronation route when she had her big parade, and then to other people, parliamentarians, people throughout the Commonwealth, members of the royal household. So then they started giving them out.
All right. 所以这是在50年的时候，当时呢，维多利亚女王呢，然后这个有了这样第一个是Queen Victoria 的 Golden Jubilee Medal， 然后这是她的第一个在50年执政的时候。And this is the very first one, right? So very first one of all the Jubilee medals. Yeah, 这是当时所有的这样的。Yeah, OK， 所有的 Jubilee medal 中间最早的就是始于 Victoria 女王，维多利亚女王。因为维多利亚女王的话，当时她也是加拿大开国的第一位这个君主，但是当时她还是英国的女王。All right, so this is the Diamond Jubilee, so 60 years.
That's right. And there were 2 or 3 different ones made. I think there was a police one. I think this might be the general one on the left. And on the right was the one issued to mayors and provosts. So civic officials got one in the shape of a diamond with a different picture of the Queen. So it really was kind of unique, interesting.
所以当时这个在60年的时候呢，它也有了这一系列的这个迁徙的奖章啊，这些奖章的话呢，它有不同的版本，有些版本你就可以看到，在右手位的话，它专门做成了菱形，也就是说 diamond 的这样的一个 shape。然后这中间也是会有一些，就像刚才讲到的 golden 一样，它会给警察的一些官员的政府官员所颁发的这样的一个纪念奖章。然后这个是认可他们对于这个国家的贡献和社会的贡献。所以它是 in commemoration of the 50th year of the reign of Queen Victoria. Yeah.
That's probably, actually, I read that as well. Probably the one for 60 said the same thing. And the ribbons are hard to tell apart.
Right.
So as you can see, that's definitely the 60th there. It's a little bit hard to tell apart sometimes.
That's right,
so.
Yeah.
And even the pictures. Okay, so the Queen Victoria died in January of 22nd, I think, of 1901.
Yeah.
After being queen for 63, almost 64 years. And her son, Edward VII, became our king and emperor. He had a coronation medal on the left, and that was issued to people who attended the coronation and to members of parliament, privy councillor. That was the main one. There's a police medal on the right. And I think there was a third, there was a Durbar. He went off to India to be crowned Emperor of India. And there was a special medal issued for the Delhi Durbar of 1901. And so people, you know, could have been one or two. So there's a 3 or 4 Edward VII coronation medals. So they started to get fancy with this.
Yeah. 然后呢，女王在位了这个60多年，接近64年的时候呢，然后在1901年过世，然后呢，这个她的儿子呢，爱德华7世呢继任，那么继任的时候呢，就有了这样的一个1902年的这样在左手位，因为它是铜制奖章，所以的话呢是这个1902年的奖章，然后在你的照片的右手位的这个呢是爱德华7世的一个警察的奖章，然后他在其他的这个殖民地的印度啊也有分别的奖章，所以在爱德华7世期间的这个过程中间呢，这一类的奖章呢开始变得比较的这个 popular， 变得非常的受欢迎。Is there a reason that we always have like police medals?
The police medals were issued initially because when they had the big coronation parades, they had thousands of police lining the streets of London. So as often happened with a military campaign, if you've been to on a campaign, you were issued a campaign medal. This commemorative medal meant that I was on duty on the day of the king's, in this case, king's coronation. I suppose at some point, and I'm not sure about this, they may have also given them to some of the senior police officers to commemorate the jubilee of the coronation in this case. So I suspect that that could have been used over time as well for the police.
Right. 所以呢，他刚才我问到，就是说为什么之前也提到过，都有一些是警察的奖章。他说过去的话，当然你有战役，战役完了之后会有奖章。那么在这种就是说举行这个加冕仪式的话呢，就会有很多警察维持秩序呢。如果有很多警察的话呢，他们就为了他们参与这个加冕仪式维持秩序的这个工作呢，给出了很多警察的这样的一些这个奖章。所以这是应该是对于能够很好的解释为什么我们总是在看到有一些很多的 police 各种各样的这个 medals. All right, so King George V now.
King Edward VII died in May of 1910. He was old when he came to the throne. And his son, his surviving son, George, became King George V. His coronation was in 1911. And this on the left is the medal for King George and Queen Mary. With the previous coronation medal, we saw King Edward VII and Queen Alexandria, whereas Queen Victoria's husband had passed away by the time she had her jubilees. He wasn't on the medal and she reigned in her own right. This started a tradition where the wife of the king was also portrayed on the medal. So on the left, we see this medal for the coronation.
Okay. 所以这是在这个就是英王刚才的讲到的这个爱德华7世过世之后呢，那么就有乔治5世在是1910 right 1910 1910，然后他的加冕仪式的时候呢，在你的这个照片的左手位呢，就是他加冕仪式时候当时的这样的一个奖章。然后在35年的时候呢，同样也是乔治5世的话呢，他有一个 Jubilee 的 medal。那么因为呢，这个奖章呢，从最开始的时候 Jubilee 的奖章的时候，因为维多利亚女王也是把她的配偶这个 Prince Albert, right? And that was the Victoria's spouse, yeah. 然后在奖章上面，所以他在这个奖章上面呢，也把他的这个皇后呢放在了这个奖章上，所以你在这个上面看到的是爱德华乔治5世的和他的太太。All right, so
now, now if you back that up one, Jimmy, can you back it up?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. There we go. Yes.
One more. Yeah. Now, King George V had a silver jubilee. He was our king for 25 years.
Yeah.
And so in 1935, in the middle of the Depression, there was a big celebration, as big as could be mustered, for the King's silver jubilee. And this medal was issued, and there were medallions issued and coins and stamps struck and various other things in Canada and Britain around the Commonwealth. An omnibus stamp issue, a special series of commemorative stamps for all the British Empire countries was issued, both because stamp collecting was popular and the king was a very prominent stamp collector. one of the big originators of the Royal Collection, in fact. And so this medal was issued and given out. I believe just this one was given. I don't think there was a police version. I think there was just this medal given, and they were more widely distributed.
然后这是就刚才讲到这照片的右手为的话35年的当时的 Jubilee 的 medal， 然后呢，因为它正好35年是在当时的这个大萧条期间，那么有在当时可能的情况之下，那么就是举办了这样的一个这个在位的这样的一个纪念仪式。那么这样的话呢，就是乔治5世的银质的Jubilee 的 medal 是你的右手为看到的。
It's interesting that if you look back at those two medals, can we go back there?
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed that. Anyways, so the coronation medal had a kind of a thing like this to attach it, and there was a claw on the Jubilee medal, just like there was on the Diamond Jubilee.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, on the original one, there's a rim around the pictures of the King and Queen. And when you got to 1935, there's no rim. I guess it's kind of like an Art Deco thing. I don't know. So they changed the structure of these things as they go along.
所以你可以看到当时的就是说它的这个勋章当时的衔接的地方，对吧？然后在当年最早的登基的时候，它比较简单。然后到了这个35年的时候，它的这个整个的把外面的外沿虽然去掉了，但是它的那个奖章的连接处呢是有一个这样的一个。像爪子一样的抓住的这样的一种设计，所以设计风格在这个过程中间也发生了很大的改变。
We now move to 1937. King George V died in January 22nd of 1936. His eldest son was the Prince of Wales. King Edward VIII reigned for about 11 and a half months. He abdicated around the 10th of December in 1936. Mm-hmm. And King George VI became our king in December of 1936. The coronation was in May of 1937, and instead of crowning King Edward VIII as king, they crowned King George VI as king, and Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, became the Queen Mother, as the Queen Consort. As you can see, there's no writing on the front of this medal, but on the back, and no rim, but on the back, there's kind of like an Art Deco 1930s vibe going there. And they continued the ribbon style of the Silver Jubilee medal as opposed to the coronation medal of George V.
Right. 所以你可以看出它的设计也发生改变。这个是当时的就是乔治6世，就是女王的父亲啊，1937年的这个加冕仪式。然后呢，它也是沿袭了之前的，就是说乔治5世的银质奖章的一系列的设计风格，就是没有外面的这一个边，然后呢，同时呢，它的那个搭扣的地方呢，就是衔接处呢，也是用这种有点像爪子的这种方式。然后呢，设计呢整体比较干净。That's interesting. So we don't have any coronation medal for Edward VIII then.
No, there is not. There are some stamps and coins, but no medal. The medallions were made, but in the end, they were never used.
Oh, okay. So they were made but never used.
Well, they were they did prototypes. Right. Now, King George VI's tailors were Benson and Clegg, who made these cufflinks.
That's right. Yeah.
And Benson or Clegg, I'm not quite sure which, was dressing King George VI. He helped him dress for the coronation, helped him with his outfits and stuff. And King George VI gave him one of these coronation medals. So I think it's Clegg, got one of these coronation medals because he was the wardrober to the king for the coronation.
所以在乔治6世的时候，他当时的那个他的这个服装啊，专门负责他的所有服装的人，最后也获得了他的这个加冕的勋章，因为他主要是在这方面做出了很多的积极的努力。So move on to the Queen's coronation medal.
King George VI had a very momentous reign. He came in with the abdication crisis of his brother, was there through all the developments of the 1930s. Of course, World War II happened, which he and Sir Winston Churchill were on the leadership team of the winning side. And of course, after the war, Britain changed a lot, decolonization of India, and et cetera, et cetera. So his reign saw many changes, some good, some not so good. He died rather young on 6th of February, 1952. Her Majesty, our present queen, became queen on the 6th of February, 1952. And she's been our queen ever since. And as you can see, again, there's no rim on this medal. And again, very much in the style of, the ribbon is similar to George V's coronation medal. The the ribbon is similar. The style of medal is very similar to the George VI coronation medal. And as you can see, she's facing differently than.
Yeah, direction is different. Yes, facing right.
And it has her royal cipher on the back, E2R.
Yeah. 所以这是女王的这个，就是前面的乔治六世女王的父亲呢，那么在位差不多15年的时间，在1952年过世。过世之后呢，就是你看到的这个女王的这个奖章，这个奖章呢，所以我们刚才解释了，它是从基本是从爱德华7世的银质奖章，就是乔治5世的银质奖章开始呢，就发生了比较显著的改变，就是它开始这个整个设计呢，就是没有边。然后呢，这个衔接的地方呢做的会比较考究，所以在这个奖章的时候呢，也是它的这个加冕奖章，它的朝向呢就跟它的父辈呢有所不同，然后背面呢也是干干净净的，还有一个女王的这个徽章，然后 E2R。
Now, also with this, you see the queen there with the crown, but you see, oh my goodness, I lost my train of thought. You see her royal cipher here. Elizabeth the Queen. So you see that's and as I say, on some of the other ones you saw writing around the front of this one, like the last one, you saw the writing on the backs. So there's kind of some changes in style are very obvious. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. This is the first medal. Before this, medals were given to Canada by the British government to give to Canadians.
Right.
This medal, Canada ordered specific number of medals from the Royal Mint, from the British government, and gave them out on their own to Canadians. So this is the first, essentially Canadian, even though it was a British-made medal, the first Canadian medal awarded exclusively by the Canadian government on their own, according to their own criteria.
那所以呢，这个还有一个不同的是说，之前的话呢，这些奖章都会发给加拿大的。因为加拿大虽然加拿大独立，但是这个过程中间呢跟英国的关系，所以它的奖章还是会单独发给加拿大的对社会和国家有贡献的人。那么这个是第一个，是从女王伊丽莎白2世开始，它这个奖章呢是由英国的这个铸币这个所或者厂，然后呢专门制造的。那么他们的这个制造呢，就是加拿大单独就是去订购了加拿大的这样的一个这个女王的奖章，然后呢这个用以加拿大自己的这个认可来用。
I think having just reflected on that, I think that makes giving these Platinum Jubilee medals even more important, because the first medals of the Queen's reign were given out by the Canadians as a Canadian program. So it would not make sense to break this tradition of Canadian medals being handed out by the Canadian government for this sovereign's reign. So I think it's not a good time to break the chain. So I think that's another reason why we need this, to continue with our tradition that we started in this country during this Queen's reign.
I think that's an excellent point. 所以他是说，女王的这个奖章，因为是第一个由加拿大专门为加拿大准备的这样的一个奖章，也是为了这个认可对加拿大这个国家和社会有贡献的人。那么现在到了70年的时候呢，也不应该打破这个传统，也应该是由这个加拿大这个君主的这样一个奖章，专门由加拿大的这个政府，然后代表加拿大的君主呢，颁给对加拿大社会有贡献的人。So do you know if there is a Platinum Jubilee medal in the UK?
There is. Okay. Britain has announced that there will be a Platinum Jubilee medal. And some of the realms in the Caribbean will likely follow suit. We don't know about Australia and New Zealand as of yet. There's pressure in Australia to do one. I don't know whether it will happen.
Right. 所以英国是70年他们已经宣布了，然后那些加勒比海的国家或者纽西兰，然后这个澳洲的话呢，现在不清楚他们的动态究竟如何。那么但是加拿大这边呢，所以希望就是说政府能够继续延续这个传统然后呢这不是一个关于英国的奖章，而恰恰是加拿大君主的一个奖章，然后呢颁给大家。
So certainly Britain will decide on the ribbon. The ribbon is always common, usually.
Right.
The portrait can be anything. It can be this, or the portrait used on the sovereign's medal. It doesn't really matter. And the backing, the Canada will produce a logo, and then they just recycled this one from the 50 to make the 60. That's basically the same logo with a diamond and a 60 on it. So I dare say you could use the same logo for 70, plunk it on the back and go Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee. So anyone who tells you, they don't have time to design a medal is lying, because I can design a medal based on what they've done before. It would not be very hard to put together a design in about 2 days.
Yes, so the medal design has always been quite consistent.
It's consistent, and the government just has to say, go ahead. They have people at the mint. They have people, they could get this design finalized in 48 hours. So there's no reason for the government not to do this,
right?
Because they don't have time.
And that's it.
They have a system they used for the last 2 programs. Use that system, use the designs, it can happen.
Yes, so that actually raises another interesting question. So you mentioned that the Canadian government actually ordered the Queen's Coronation Medal from the UK, the Royal Mint in the UK.
That's correct.
So we no longer do that, right? So we actually can the Canadian Royal Mint can actually make those medals. Is that true, or?
Yes, well, starting in 1977,
right?
Our next medal. Prime Minister Trudeau, when he first was in, Canada for the first time issued its own silver royal medal.
So let's move on to this slide then.
Now, this is the British one on the left. The back, the front is the same. The back, this rather strange looking thing, is the Silver Jubilee crest as envisioned by the government of Canada, and it adorns the Canadian medal, which actually is a little bit of an improvement on the British medal, I gotta say, which is kind of boring looking, but this is kind of weird looking, but it's a little bit more exciting than what's on the back of the British medal.
Right. So actually in 1977, so the first time the Jubilee medal or medals are actually made and minted actually in Canada, right?
In Canada, and given out for to Canadians by Canadians according to their numbers and criteria. Yes,
of course， 就是说他们是由加拿大政府、由加拿大制造、由加拿大给出的。什么意思呢？就是1977年的时候呢，老特鲁多，现在的特鲁多的父亲，然后当政的时候就第一次呢，就是将这个女王的这个银质奖章的这个时候呢，就是25 years 的时候呢，这个奖章呢，到了加拿大自己的铸币厂呢、铸币局呢开始制造。那么我们在这个照片的左手位看到的这是 UK 的，那么因为它的后面的这个设计，那么在你的左手边这一个图，那么这是加拿大的版本。加拿大版本的正面和 UK 的版本应该是很接近的，但是它背面的时候呢，有了一个加拿大的枫叶的国旗，那是1977年加拿大首次，那么有了加拿大自己的，不光是加拿大的奖牌，并且是加拿大制造，加拿大人来认可加拿大的对加拿大社会有贡献的这样的这些有贡献者所颁发的这个奖章。
So that's basically the Silver Jubilee.
Okay.
Did you mention to the audience that there is a system for creating these things easily in Canada?
Yeah, 所以这些东西现在都能够很简单的在加拿大制造，所以不会说有设计的这个问题，因为只要政府点头的话，从设计、制造各方面，我们完全具备了这样的几十年，从77年到现在的话，应该已经有快半个世纪的这样的一个能力，40几年的这样一个能力，所以这根本不成问题。All right, so move on to the Golden Jubilee medal.
This is the Golden Jubilee. This is the first medal that I received.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Anyways. And this is the Canadian medal. There was a British medal. The ribbon is the same. The picture on the British medal is different, the front and back. And on the back, of course, it says 1952 to 2002 Canada with the a version of a E2R of a kind of a of a logo on there, different than this logo, I might add.
Right.
But yeah. So very nice. This is the ribbon. I think it may be the miniature. I'm not sure. This is the back of the medal, and there is the ribbon, the undress ribbon that you wear on your uniform. If you're wearing a uniform, if you don't wear ribbons. So I just
so the ribbon actually is a substitute of the medal. Is that right?
That's right.
You don't wear both. You don't.
Well, you can wear both. Sometimes on your tunic you wear that and you wear the medal over it.
Okay.
I do that. You're not really supposed to, but I do.
Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, generally speaking, the ribbon is for military uniform, and then you can wear the ribbon instead of the medal then.
That's right.
Okay.
Military, police, some of the fire, the disciplined services, and some groups, but mostly you just wear the medal or you. Now some people have taken ribbons and wore them in their lapel, and it's not on a civilian jacket. It's not technically wrong. probably done more in the U.S. than done here, but yeah, because there isn't technically a pin for that medal. There are for some medals have undressed pins, which is the undressed pin for the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteerism, for example, but there isn't really one for the Golden Jubilee Medal.
OK， 所以这个呢是加拿大当时的女王的这个叫黄金年的时候啊，然后呢这个 Jubilee Medal 的和它的 ribbon， 所以这是它的正面，这是加拿大奖章，所以你们在图的这个左边也可以看到1952年到2022年，然后下面是加拿大的这个国家的名字，那么上面呢在右手边的上面呢是一个小的一段，那是 ribbon， 那是 ribbon 呢一般来情况下呢是在这个制服啊军章警察这种制服上面佩戴的，那么可以呢就是取代这个奖章本身。那我们有时候看到很多人身上别的那个一条一条的 ribbon 其实就是这些东西，那么也可以跟奖章一起同时使用，那么一般来讲只是更多的是用在制服上面。 Yes.
Now this is the Diamond Jubilee. That's actually the British one.
Yes.
The Canadian one looks a bit different. It's got the picture of the Queen wearing the crown.
Yeah. But can you tell if the Canadian one has the rim?
Diamond similar to the medal box here.
Yeah.
So it's quite. I like both of the back sides, and I don't know. I like either picture. I kind of like the picture with the crown. Yeah. The British medal, the Golden Jubilee has the picture with the crown.
Yeah.
She's got the diadem in the Canadian one. And in the Diamond Jubilee, we use the crown and they use the diadem. And I guess it just depends what they decide at the time.
But don't you notice, like Sean, that if you look at the Canadian Golden Jubilee medal, actually the rim comes back. It has
does.
The rim. Yeah.
That's right.
And also the Diamond Jubilee as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they've used the rim again. And I guess it's a kind of neoclassical kind of style of them. And the British ones have rims as well. And I guess that's just what they did. As I say, the Diamond Jubilee crest here from Britain is very nice. It's a diamond. We have a diamond shown, I guess, just like a diamond, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
With E2R in the crown. So with maple leafs, of course, and they do that a lot for any Canadian signs, heraldry, that sort of thing. So it's nice. And it says here, Regina Fida Elizabeth II della Grata Regina, Queen Defender of the Faith, FDEF, Defender. That would be Defender of the Faith. And it just says here, Elizabeth II della Grata Regina, Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen of Canada. Della Grata Regina meaning Queen.
Queen, yeah.
The second Della Grata by the grace of God.
So what is FID?
Faith Defender, Defender of the Faith.
Faith Defense, okay, yeah.
It's kind of
FIDE Defend, okay. FIDE Def, okay.
It's Fidelity Defender. So it's Latin, and it's an abbreviation of the Latin. And of course, on our coinage, I think it still says Della Grata Regina. I'm not sure if it says Faith Defender of the Faith or not.
Yes.
It's ironic Henry VIII got that for defending the Catholic Church against some problems. Then he promptly broke relations and set up the Church of England. But the royal title is, the Pope gave him that. The royal it stayed in the royal titles ever since.
Of course, I mean, Queen as the head of the Anglican Church, right? So it is.
That's right. But King Henry VIII was given it for defending the Catholic Church. He then promptly broke with the Catholic Church. He got the title Defender of the Faith. So he was defending the Catholic faith, but he decided to make it now transferred to the Anglican Church and has been in our royal titles ever since. It's quite funny, actually.
Okay, 很有意思，这是这个女王的这个。钻石勋章，这是当然是英国的版本啊。那么这个加拿大版本是基本上很相近的。那我们也说看到了，就是在这两款设计的之后呢，它就其实回到了就是一些比较新的这个叫新经典主义的这种设计，所以它的那个奖章的那个边呢又回来了，这种设计又回来了，并且他也刚才读了，那上面有 Elizabeth， 然后 the second， 然后呢后面是讲的这个 Regina， 然后 FIDE Def， 然后这个呢主要是说就是说他作为一个信仰的这个捍卫者，那么信仰的捍卫者，当然女王是作为这个英国国教的这个首领啊，然后当然呢像就是刚才说到他说亨利8世的时候最早的这个 Defender of Faith 呢是 天主教会给他的，但是他跟天主教会呢，亨利八世跟天主教会决裂之后呢，就是他保留了这个对于叫信仰的这个这个 defender 的这样的一个称号，用于他的这个国教，也就是圣公会的这个称呼上面，一直保留至今，这是非常有意思。这就是在2012年的时候，在他的这个60年庆的钻石奖章。Yes. Oh, that's a set of Jubilee medals then.
So basically, I mean, some people are, I mean, I was fortunate enough I got to them, but some people do get more than one. Some people get one, and some people have a lot of medals and they have Jubilee medals as part of them. So Winston Churchill had a lot of medals and he had 5, Edward VII, George V, the coronation, George VI, and the Queen Elizabeth. I don't think he had Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee medal. So he had 5 of them, which is kind of unique. The Duke of Edinburgh had the coronation of George VI, coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, the Silver Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, and the Diamond. He had 5. The Prince of Wales has 4, and if we have our Platinum Jubilee, he'll have 5 next year, as will Princess Anne. So some people do have more of them. This is some lucky person who seems to have a collection of 3 Jubilee medals, and that's about it. Yep. The Silver Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, and the Diamond Jubilee. And these are the British ones. These are the British ones, I think. Yes, you can see the difference there between the Canadian ones and the British ones. And I believe this, as far as I can tell, this is the Prince of Wales medals. That second to last decoration looks like St. John Ambulance. It's supposed to be the Royal Navy Long Service Medal, but it looks more like the St. John Ambulance, but I could be wrong. So he has there the Order of the Royal Service Order for New Zealand, Queen Service Order for New Zealand, and there very few people have that. He has that. And of course, these may be miniatures too. No, they must be the full size. The Coronation Medal of Queen Elizabeth II, the Silver Jubilee, the Golden Jubilee, and the Diamond Jubilee, so he's quite lucky. The Canadian Armed Forces Long Service Decoration, and that's for 12 years of service. I happen to have that one as well. And each 10 years they give you a bar. The Prince must be up to at least 2 or 3 bars. Duke of Edinburgh had 4 bars. I think the Queen Mother must have had 6, I'm not sure. And that's possibly the Royal Navy Long Service Medal. It's supposed to be, it looks like the St. John Ambulance Medal, but anywho. And of course, the other one is a New Zealand one, Treaty of Waitangi medal for the 150th anniversary of the Treaty of Waitangi. And they gave out a few of those as well. So that's why I think these must be the Prince of Wales medals, because of the 2 New Zealand decorations and the Canadian Forces Service decoration. I don't think you have that unless it was, he's about the only person that I know of who has that grouping. But that gives you an idea of where these fit on your medal bar. And if you have campaign medals or bravery decorations or other orders, you'll have them in front. They're kind of near the back in front of the long service medals. So my first medal is a Sovereign's Medal, but then we go for the Golden Jubilee. So yeah, this gives you an idea what they look like when you wear them.
Yeah. 所以这是照片上面看到的是这个一组的关于 Jubilee medals 的这是当然是英国的这个版本。他刚才提到了像这个英国首相 Churchill 的话，他有过5个这样的medal， 那么有爱丁堡公爵也有很多的这样的 medal。 So that's another interesting question which raises, and then that is so as a royal family member, it's actually not a guarantee. It doesn't guarantee you a medal, right? So it's actually you're still judged by your service and a contribution to the community and the society, the nation.
That's right. I mean, members of the royal household are given them, but I mean, you have to have done something to have. So it's interesting. And of course, from our context, from the Canadian context, but also from a context of our viewers, I mean, these medals are given out by the Queen and the government to people who have usually rendered great service to Canada, who've been credit to our country, whether it's in volunteerism, civil society, military service, or police service, government service. So it's an opportunity for people who will never get any other kind of recognition to be recognized. That's why it's so important that we have these medals and that the government not give them out, not stop giving them out.
Yes, 所以我刚才问了个问题，我就说，如果是这样的话，那你作为一个皇室成员的话，也不一定能得到这种奖章，因为尽管你上面可能奖章上这个头像是你自己的可能是这个祖母啊，或者自己家里的亲戚啊，但不代表如果你对社会没有贡献的话，自然你也得不到奖章。所以像说它是这样的，就是最终这是一个对于你的贡献和服务的认可，所以它是在加拿大的上下文里面，它是对加拿大社会里面做出默默无闻贡献的 像他们这样的这些人员，平时也没有机会得到其他的认可的话呢，那么这个奖章是作为一个国家的认可。当然，这个女王给出有女王的这个办公室，也是总督，然后的话呢，通过这个也是加拿大的政府有参与，那么给予这样的一个。对于加拿大社会有贡献的人的认可。So actually, so those medals are actually given by the Governor General, is that right? Or actually through the Lieutenant Governor?
Well, basically, they're an official Canadian honor, which means that they are gazetted according to the Chancellery of Honors. Now, the Queen, through the Governor General, hands these out. Now, the way in which candidates are selected is entirely dependent on the criterion established. So the last two times we've had people who are partners in the group, the Royal Commonwealth Society, the Royal Canadian Legion, various other groups, the YWCA, were given an allocation of medals. They set up their own procedures and they handed them out. The members of Parliament, Senate, members of the Legislative Assembly, prime ministers, provincial premiers, lieutenants, governor general, each got an allocation, and then the protocol office, certainly in Victoria, and I suppose in each province, got a certain number of medals. And they had, in the last go round, took nominations, and a committee sat there and sifted through the nominations, and they made sure they hadn't been given them by somebody else, and the top ones were given the medals.
Okay, so do you know how many actually the Diamond Jubilee?
There were 44,000 Golden Jubilee medals.
Okay.
There were 60,000 Diamond Jubilee medals. A year or two before, I wrote to the Queen's Secretary for Canada suggesting 60,000, 1,000 for each year of the Queen's reign. And I don't know whether it was on strength of my suggestion or just it was a convenient number. That's what we ended up with. I mean, ideally, we should have 70,000 to commemorate this never to be seen before, never to be seen again. Event. So far, we got 0,000. We got we need 70,000 more.
Okay. 所以呢，这个我刚才问到的时候说，这个黄金奖章的时候，当时给了44000个，然后呢，在这个60年的纪念的这个钻石奖章的时候呢，虽然说他有写信，但不知道这个是不是政府就采纳了这个意见，就是说对于应该给出一个60的这样的一个数字，那么他们就最后采用了60个签，也就是6万枚这样的奖章。那么现在呢，说就是70年的时候，希望能够有一个77万的这个奖章来认可，特别是在我们现在这个。就是说特殊的一个时期啊，有很多对加拿大社会做出很多积极贡献的人，应该得到这个一个国家的认可。那么目前呢是0，那么希望呢政府呢在这方面呢有所这个积极的推动。Yeah, so so we go back to the petition, right? So say yes to a Platinum Jubilee Medal in Canada and celebrate our Queen's 70 years on the throne by honoring actually Canadians for their own service to Canada. And so my last question to Sean actually is, so recently we noticed the toppling of Queen Victoria's statue in Manitoba, unfortunately. So what is the significance of the medal to actually the Canadian community at large and many actually minorities, and the multicultural community society, and then many minorities who actually live in this community?
Well, what happened with Queen Victoria's statue is unfortunate, annoying, enraging. Choose your adjective as you will. It certainly isn't going to solve the problem it purported to solve. Queen Victoria wasn't responsible for the problems that this was purporting to solve. If anything, she tried to intervene to try, to help. Certainly, at the time of the Irish famine, despite what people have said, she was one of the largest contributors of relief, personal contributors. She gave £50,000 to relieving the Irish famine, and I have no doubt that if she'd been aware of some of these problems, she would have tried to stop them as well. That's the first thing. Secondly, though, I mean, she is a symbol of Canada. She is, Sir John A. Macdonald is the father of Canada. I would say Queen Victoria is one of the fathers, and she's one of the mothers of Canada. So it's unfortunate they chose that particular statue to throw in the water at that particular time.
Right.
That's the statue. The crown represents all of us. The Native Indians, Indigenous type people have always sought their relationship towards the crown and not, the great white mother in London, our Great White Father, not so much the colonial government, the local government in Ottawa. They may work with the Department of Indian Affairs for their day-to-day bread and water, so to speak, the provision of services, et cetera, because that's the government department they report to. But they've always considered that they have a direct relationship with our sovereign and not with the government in Ottawa. That is the theory of their political union. They believe they are a group of small autonomous nations, shall we say, and that they deal directly with the Queen. And in some cases, since the time of George III, some of them have had treaties with the monarch.
Yes.
And certainly perhaps in the 1700s, that definitely was the case. Sir Robert Walpole might disagree with us, but so they have had a direct relationship with the monarch. So they've been given these medals and they've benefited from this direct relationship with the crown as much, if not more, than many of us.
Yes.
If you want to translate, I'll stop. And
Okay. Yeah. 所以刚才讲到了说，我们回到了这个70年的这个钻石白金奖章的这个话题上面。所以我刚才问了上的是说，在很遗憾，我们看到了这个维多利亚女王的铜像呢，在最近呢被这个 Manitoba 议会门口呢被拉倒了。那么现在为什么是说在这样的一个情况之下呢，这样的奖章或者说君主，然后的一种代表国家的象征意义的奖章，对于这个社会和社区这个多元文化、少数族裔还是很重要的。那么相的回答是说，当然现在这样的事情发生呢是非常遗憾的。那么这样的事情的发生本身对于这个事情的改善也没有很多的帮助。那么如果说约翰麦当娜的这个是加拿大第一任首相，也是加拿大的开国的这个国父之一的话呢，那肯定呢维多利亚女王也是这个加拿大的开国之母啊。然后呢，在这个过程中间，女王呢，其实跟加拿大，她代表所有的人，她并不代表一部分人。那么你毕竟如果从选举政府的角度来讲，那么选举的时候会产生这个支持者，那么一般都是支持者的选上。所以你尽管你想要代表所有人，但实际上君主才是真正的代表了所有的这个加拿大人。而且从原住民的历史的角度来讲呢，就是说在这个过去呢，原住民也很多时候他并不认可作为加拿大的地方政府，他更多的其实还是跟加拿大的君主，根据不同的部落和不同的历史呢，他跟君主之间有签订的合约协约，那么他们认可的这样的一个君主，所以君主对于原住民也有特殊的含义和意义。Yes. Well,
now, in regards to, we already dealt with the sort of Native Indian First Nations community, but also, I mean, I think it's important that they get these medals as they have, because it represents their very special association with the crown. But to the various other immigrant communities in this country, I think in many ways it is very important. It should be very important to them because it is sometimes a first step on the rung of the Canadian honor system. It's the first kind of recognition that they'll receive from the government, from the country, from the Queen, of their contributions to Canada. So I think it's important from that perspective. I think medals, as I've said before, are the most unique, special honor a nation can bestow on its citizens, and also the most democratic, because it's unique because this is yours. When I saw this the first time in the box, I didn't get a present, I got mine by mail. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was mine. It was for what I'd done, and if I was a good boy, no one was going to take that away from me. One of the things I've always wanted is to give people who work very hard in this country in their voluntary service the opportunity to have that moment where you recognize that someone's remembered you and thought of you, and that your colleagues in your country, the Queen has said thank you very much, and we reward you for your service, and we thank you. You have contributed a great deal to making this country great, and this is a small way of us saying thank you, and you can wear this on the appropriate day, and please thank you, and continue to work for Canada. So I think it's very special, but it's democratic and reasonably fair in that everyone, all 30-odd million Canadians, were eligible to be one of the 44,000 people who received this. As a fairly young person, I was determined I was going to get one of those medals. I worked very hard and very hard and very hard, and somehow I managed to get one. I was very fortunate. I didn't realize until later on, it's like, wow, you were really ambitious. You really thought you were something. But you know, when you work hard and you're good, sometimes good things happen to you. And so I think for the immigrant communities in this country, I think this should be important to you, because it means all of us are together. All of us get the same medal. All of us work hard. All of us are working for Canada. And many people in some of these communities, and I've been fortunate to work with many people in the Chinese community particularly, do a lot of work for Lions Clubs, for Rotary, in some of the Chinese media. Your host does a great deal of work for many groups in the community. And I've been very fortunate, very blessed to work with some of these people. And I see how hard they work. And this sort of recognition is a way of saying thank you and recognizing the great work they do. Many of us will never get the Order of Canada. Many people who are young, teenagers or 20s, 30-somethings, need to be rewarded or given a pat on the back to say, you're doing well, continue down the path of service.
Yeah.
I do many things. One of the things I do is I serve in the Army Cadet program. We're artillery. And one of the mottos of the artillery is quo fastit gloria ducant, quo fastit gloria ducant, to follow the path, where right and glory shall lead. And in a sense, by handing out this medal, you're encouraging people to stay on the path where right and glory shall lead, not to stray, as it were. So I think these reinforce positive behaviors, positive actions. They encourage, and many, as I say, many of people who are older will never get the Order of Canada. Many people who are younger need to be encouraged to stay on the path. Now, you don't do this for a medal. I don't do this, and most people don't do this thinking, I'm going to get a medal in 10 years. But it is a very nice way of rewarding people for a job well done, and it's a unique way of doing this. So I think the community should say, wow, how else can you get a bit of a recognition from your country that's meaningful? A letter is nice.
Well, that's very interesting, because what you just mentioned, that, even you, right? And then like 30 years voluntary service in the community, and those medals are not entitlement, right? So you have to earn these medals. So same message, right? So you have the community, like local multicultural and the minority community, they actually contribute and they deserve some recognition, and therefore we have this medal. But you mentioned about Order of Canada, and any idea how many Order of Canada actually medals were given in a?
They're usually given out twice a year. There was not a July 1st honors list this year.
But I mean, in terms of the quantity, like, do you know if it's comparable?
Between 1 and 200, I guess, 150 to 200, maybe.
It's in one nation, right? So the total is only
all Canada, yes.
Okay.
I'd say about 200 a year.
Okay, so that's actually not even comparable to the sovereign medal or the no. Okay, Jubilee medals. You have a great point. So there are only like a few people can get recognized as Order of Canada or Order of BC, right? And however, with that the Jubilee medal, then you have a broader coverage, right? And it's more, as you mentioned, you use the word democratic, so it's more democratic to actually have this reward. Yeah.
And there's usually, there's way more medals than there are deserving people, but
of course,
there's better coverage than there is for something like the Order of Canada. And even the Sovereign's Medal, they hand them out every year, but this is just essentially a limited edition, right?
Yes.
It's just for this 1.5 years. And I mean, even certificates, we'll give you a certificate. This goes up on the wall and gets forgotten, but the medal, you can wear it.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I mean, to Remembrance Day or to special events. And it's a very tangible.
I think it's very convincing. So let me interpret in Chinese. So 刚才这个问题问得很有意思，就是说，你看到的这些奖章的话，为什么这个作为一个君主的然后的迁徙奖章会变得那么样的有意义啊？就是它的执政70年这样有意义，因为它的数量非常巨大，像这个黄金年的时候是44000个，然后到了 这个钻石年的时候到了6万个。那么相比而言，我们大家社区里面熟知的，比方说 Order of Canada 这样的一种奖章 ，Order of BC 的奖章，一年不过就是他刚才说大概估计一下就是几百个吧，200个左右。那如果是这样的话，它跟这个整个的一个全加拿大境内上万的这样的一个比例，它数量级上差了2个0，对不对？差了几十倍。所以整个像这样的这个作为君主的奖章，能够更好的有更广的这样的一个覆盖率。那么这种覆盖率对于这个社区里面做贡献的人，能够更大的机会获得这样对他们的辛勤的社会的社区的劳作的一个认可。那么这是有巨大的一个区别。所以他刚才上也讲到说，正因为这个原因呢，他认为这样的奖章其实更具有一个民主的价值。那么它就是因为它能够覆盖更多的加拿大的普通的老百姓。你想一个国家如果就是说200个人，这个肯定是这个社会和社区一个省那么多个省，那每个省能分到的人数可能微乎其微，对不对？那肯定是一个社会精英中间精英。那如果你要得到一个君主奖章的话，这个比例就会更广，而且跟你的这社区实际的工作和对社会的贡献恰恰是直接相关的。像他做了30年的话，那么他也是要巨大的付出才获得这样奖章。所以这个奖章不是一个关于好像自己的造了这个奖章认可自己人，而是说他这个奖章是需要你去付出去争取来的，去挣来的这样的一个对自己社会贡献的一个认可。Fascinating. So let's get back to this petition. So there's a QR code here in front of you, in front of us. And actually, if you can use your cell phone, mobile, and then to scan this QR code, and then it will directly link you to the Parliament. Actually, there's a web page, and it's official page on I think it's yes, it's just the official Parliament petition page, and then you can fill up the petition and then submit it as long as you are a Canadian and then actually a resident. So can you give us a little bit brief about the qualification of this petition?
I believe, and I'm not sure, you don't have to be voting age.
Right.
I think you just have to be a Canadian citizen, but you
can be a resident.
PRs. I do not know that. It was not clear to me. I sent it to one of my friends, and she said, I thought she was from here, but she apparently is 14. But one of the people we work with in our student conferences, she sent it out to a bunch of her friends and their parents. She said, I'm not Canadian. She was from Canada. She's I guess a PR, but I would think that she probably could. Her family's permanent resident here. They can't vote, but anyways, I didn't, it wasn't clear to me, having been born here, I'm kind of a citizen.
So when I filled it up,
look at these things.
Yeah, I filled it up, the petition, and I think the message is, let's give the audience some certainty. So when you scan, I think when you sign up this petition, then the web page will tell you if you qualify or not. And I believe, put aside the age issue, I think the PR actually qualifies. So you can be a PR to actually to sign this petition. Yeah.
So that would be anyone then can sign as long as you live in Canada. Now I have a few Canadian citizen friends who live abroad. Theoretically, you should be able to do that too, because technically you can vote in Canadian elections if you live in the United States or Britain or Hong Kong, but I'm not quite sure what they about that. But yeah, so anyone can sign this as long as you're a Canadian living in Canada. And the more we get, the better. It's gone up a little bit since I've been pushing this a little bit, but it is slow going. The more signatures we get, the closer it will be to the government doing what we'd like them to do.
Yes.
And I would say for your community, for your friends, for your children, for yourself, for the betterment of society, in a small way perhaps, please sign this petition. Please write your MP. Please talk to anyone that you know. Some of the charitable groups in our community, such as Lions Clubs, have direct lines to have members of Parliament and MLAs as members, or they have a close relationship with the local politicians. If you have any of those types of connections, please talk to your member of Parliament. Please write to them and say, you know, this is something of interest to me, to our country, and we really believe that we need to have this to honor members in our community, people that we know, people that work hard. We need to give them that opportunity to receive this kind of recognition for what they're doing for Canada. And hopefully these people, if you write to them, if you don't know them, or write to them if you do know them, or talk to them if you do know them, will take this back with them. The more letters they receive, the more likely they are to do it. Each letter represents at least 100 votes to 1,000 votes. So they will not ignore this if enough of you write to them.
Yeah.
If enough of us sign this petition, if enough of us write to them, they will not ignore this. And the more we get supporting this, the better a chance we have of doing this. And one day, you or someone you know could get the Platinum Jubilee version of this. And wouldn't that be a nice way to recognize them for their service, for their hard work, and for what they've done to make this country Canada of ours, whether you've arrived in the last 20 years or whether your family came here 500 years ago or 50,000 years ago, a better place. And the bottom line is there's very few little bits of positive news in the newspapers today. The Platinum Jubilee, we pray, will be positive. Recognizing people's service is always positive. And we hope and pray that this comes to pass and that this medal happens.
所以呢，就希望大家去这个扫二维码，然后呢，通过二维码所连接的国会的这个请愿网站啊，是国会的官方的加拿大国会请愿网站呢，填写这个表格，那么就是帮助请愿。那么你只要是加拿大的居民，只要是公民，那么都可以，所以呢不用担心当然访问可能就不行了。那么但是没有关系，只有你这个通过你签署的，让加拿大政府知道你对于这个奖章的这个兴趣和他的意愿，并且你也可以跟你所在的选区的国会议员取得联系。如果你跟他联系的话，你可以告诉他，因为你只要你一跟他讲的话，按照他的这个跟沟通的比例的话，只要有来信啊、邮件啊、电话啊，相当于就是每一个电话可能1比100的话呢，他就知道可能有100个这个相应的选票或者1000个相应的选票在背后。那么这样的话呢，能够这个使得这个白金奖章的这次的活动呢得以顺利的推进。然后呢，因为推进的话呢，就能够更好的认可我们多元化的少数族裔的多元化的这个社区呢，对于加拿大社会的积极的这样的贡献。So thank you very much for your time, Sean, and we would love to talk to you again in the future. And so thanks very much for this very meaningful initiative. So we hope the audience can support and then scan the QR code and vote and contact your MP and support this petition. So thank you. And 今天晚上我们的这个谈话就到这里了。那么我们有机会的话，下周6继续聊一些其他的话题。谢谢大家。
Thank you, Jimmy. 再见。